Well, hey everybody. Good morning. Wade, Infinity, Larry, Eric, Goose, Sergio, Everett, David, Jason, Dave, Jeremy, Francois, Rex, Sonny, Gary, Marianne, Jan, John, Joseph, EL, ATL. Good morning, everybody. If you want to chat with me and say hey like everybody else, all you gotta do, be a subscriber. Click the button over here and be a subscriber. The little green logo on the channel. Just click that, be a subscriber, and there you go. You can start chatting. That's the only requirement to be a subscriber. Now, the algos estimated by several banks to be done with their selling, lightened up the load, and can we get back to normal? That's the big question. All trading involves a substantial risk of lost past performance, not necessarily indicative of future results. This presentation intended to be informational, educational, fun, and entertaining, not a recommendation to buy or sell anything at all. Don't buy stuff from gurus. Don't buy stuff in the market. I mean, don't buy stocks, don't buy options, don't buy forex, don't buy futures, don't buy cryptos, don't buy bonds, don't buy treasuries. Don't long them, don't short them, don't trade them. You may experience that significant risk of loss. I mean, think about it. Every trade out there, there's a buyer, there's a seller, there's a winner, there's a loser. Don't be the loser. At least that's what I'm trying to help you do. And if you avoid trading with real money, you avoid being the loser. If you desire personal financial advice, hire and consult a financial advisor, but make sure you trust them. All right. And welcome, everybody. It's freaking cold today. I should have my sweatshirt on. I should have my hoodie on. It's like 38 degrees out there this morning. Brr. It was like, so rewind, like I think it was Thursday, maybe Friday. It was 85 degrees here. Then today, this morning, it's like 38. It's like, what the fudge? Yesterday, the high was like 60. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Talking about the weather, but still drives me crazy. I'm freaking cold. Anyway, the calendar. So this week, today, nothing. Tomorrow, get some Flash stuff in there. Flash manufacturing, Flash services. That comes out after the open. Then Wednesday, not really much going on. Some core durable goods and durable good orders coming out pre-market. Thursday, we get the advanced GDP quarter over quarter. And I'll get the early estimate for how we did in Q1. And forecast is 2.5. Previous was a 3.4. I mean, that's just, besides COVID, like wrecking the estimate there, we're just kind of hanging in a normal kind of spot. And we don't really pop that one or drop that one very much usually. I mean, you can see during periods of pullback, we tend to pull back a little bit, but just kind of hums along right there. And then on Friday, we get the ever fun Powell's favorite number, core PCE. So that's coming up later in the week. We'll see how that one reacts there. Probably the biggest news of the week, maybe the biggest market mover, might be Tesla earnings coming out tomorrow. Maybe. And maybe one of the most important things here. Got GM tomorrow morning. Not a lot of, we got some stuff today, but it's not a lot of market movers. Tesla, Visa, Enphase, Texas Instruments, Chubb, all tomorrow. And then Boeing before the open on Wednesday. So between Tesla and Boeing, that's an interesting combination there. Humana, we got Meta, Facebook on Wednesday afternoon. We got Microsoft and Alphabet and Intel coming in on Thursday afternoon. And then ExxonMobil, Chevron, AbbVie, all on Friday before the open. So this is going to be probably arguably the biggest week of earnings as far as market cap goes. Not even arguably. I mean, with Microsoft, Apple's not in here. Excuse me. Microsoft, Alphabet, Meta, and Tesla. I mean, that's out of the Magnificent Seven. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. 4 out of the 7. And should be interesting. Did we pop it? Did we drop it? And Do we get the final flush out on Boeing? Seems to be we're getting the final flush out on Tesla, maybe pushing down in the lower ends of my box. We'll discuss it here in a second. And that's kind of the lay of the land for the week. Any questions? Let me know in the chat. But yeah. So definitely a stacked week of earnings. So be careful out there. You can see stuff popping, stuff dropping unexpectedly. The reaction may not even make sense, right? Because think about it. It's the stock chart that makes the reaction, not the earnings announcement. So Elf Beauty potentially bouncing off the roadmap line. Beautiful. All right. Jumping into the morning monster. Let's kind of make sure I have the current list. This thing's all crazy on me. Now, S&P. We definitely got down here, filled the gap. Can that be the bottom? It could. Do we go for the roadmap line? We could. Be careful out there. We could be, lately, every morning it seems like we've been, for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 red trading days in a row. Seems like every morning we were green and then dropping green and dropping green and dropping green and dropping. No big gap downs. No real big gaps down in here. And could it lead to the roadmap line on the daily? You betcha. You betcha. But we're coming in here with a nice size bounce so far. Funny enough, I drew this box off these lows over here. And we kind of tagged it on Friday. And by the time we closed the market, we were up a little bit higher. And the futures do trade for an extra little bit of time. And then today we're green a little bit. Diving on down, looking at the overnight action for that. Coming up into the 15-minute roadmap line, holding a lower high. We've kind of seen this several times in the last few days where overnight we were rallying up into that roadmap line. Sometimes the 30-minute, but 15-minute the last few days, last few trading days. Can this lead to a lower low? Absolutely. So watch out for this to break lower. If we start breaking higher than this high we had right over here on Friday, we can start breaking higher than that. We're probably going up. If we don't, odds are we're going down again. That roadmap line is not far away. Hanging out at the 618. This is a major resistance point right here. So your initial, if you want to set an alert, we break below this 50-18 area, probably going lower low. Now, with that big spike down on Friday, well, that was Thursday. Friday, we didn't end up on a lower low on the futures, but we did on the S&P. That's a big difference here. Big difference. So, does this lower low here on Friday in cash index tip the odds, or did the futures set the low on Thursday and we actually made a higher low? It tips the odds that we don't see a lower low. I don't know. It's unclear. I don't really have a statistic on when they diverge like that. So, highly cautious. We don't have to go lower. For those of you that might have bet on going lower just based on the cash index, the futures have a little different story going. Creates an uncertainty. Maybe that's one of the 10% that we don't see a lower low on Monday or Tuesday. Maybe. Got to watch. All right. This is a very treacherous spot, you might say. And especially when we look at S5TW, look at that. Even though we were basically ending in the lows on Friday, this is showing a large reversal showing up for stocks above their 20-day. I was warning that we may see that. We could come up here 30, 40. If we stall out, we could make another attempt lower. We see that occasionally. Like here, popped up, came down, made a lower low. Did that once, twice. Kind of making these attempts where we bounce, come down, bounce, come down, bounce, come down, before we finally get off the low. And this is just stocks above their 20-day. All right. Now, the little bit slower Right here, the stock's above the 50-day. Didn't quite make it to the 20 line. This could indicate we got a little bit more to go. Could get a little bounce in here, could last a couple weeks, and then we could come down here. So definitely have my eye on this right here as an indicator when we might bounce. If we get down here below the 20 line, that's a pretty good indicator we're going to shoot back up above the 80 line, or at least go visit the 80 line. It's been a heck of a drop here. You know, we kind of took a long time to eventually break it on down here. And then stocks above the 200-day. No real damage done long term. We haven't even, I mean, we actually made a lower low back here in February than we did right now. Interestingly enough. So that indicates that there's not broad damage done yet. Hadn't sucked all the air out of the market. What that does mean, though, if we go for a bigger correction, we possibly have a lot of room to get down to support. And that, I mean, we could go, it's entirely possible we go down and revisit the lows we made back here in 22. Would that suck? Yeah, it'd be pretty sucky for a lot of things. We could go all the way back down there because this is all fluff and air in here. We have a support level in here, and we could see that big down. I think we probably get we're going to get an indicator if we're going to do that. And then we could spend all of next year rallying back up yet again. So it'll be a big choppy sideways mess. This is very unclear at the moment. Very unclear what might transcend here. I still feel like we're going to go up here maybe. And maybe it come up just a nominal higher high or maybe even a lower high. I don't think we're done on the upside. The next few days will probably tell us if we're going to go on down or if we're going to get a bounce and go higher. So just not sure. Path is unclear at the moment. Time for caution. Now I was kind of talking small time frame and then bigger time frame, bigger picture. So NQ got really darn close to tagging the daily roadmap line. Really darn close. Was that close enough? Maybe. Could bounce here. So NQ has been the tell. It was being very weak. I was kind of like, oh, is this the canary? Well, it ended up kind of being the canary. And we went all the way back down, coming up just shy of tagging the daily roadmap line. You may be like, well, what do you think, JT, on NASDAQ? Well, seems like it's not done. That's why I'm highly cautious on this retrace this morning, especially on ES, holding under that 618, holding under that roadmap line of the 15-minute. We could see this push down, tag down here. There could be this greenness we're seeing here this morning could be a preliminary all clear fake out. So definitely cautious here. Russell, though, did bottom out. It pushed right on down and closed in the roadmap line. Getting a little green today. This would be indicative of a bounce. Now, the resistance we're watching for right here, right there. That's the one right in here. We come up here, bounce down. That's not going to be good. Oh, look at that. Cha-ching. Firing off, baby. Definitely pushed down into the bottom. And is this a reversal on Tesla or not? We'll talk about that more in a minute. It's on the list. It's definitely on the list. CO looks like that initial break below that line, even though we got a big rally there on Friday, rejected right back down. Looks like we're going for the roadmap line right down there around. I mean, we're only 90 cents off of 80 at this point anyway, so probably going to go tag the roadmap line. Yeah, maybe 79. We'll see. That roadmap line will continue easing up. It could take us a couple more days to get there. Then we'll see what happens. This is, roadmap line bounces, one of my favorite patterns. And you may be like, JT, how reliable do you think it is? Let's change the number here. And dun, 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 dun. Turn this on. Right there, 80% of the time, we go hit the 1272 after tagging the roadmap line on the daily chart for oil. That's pretty reliable with 35 trades, 35 examples. So statistically significant. We'd probably go tag this 1272 right up here at almost 90 at this point. We come down here to the roadmap line. Pretty slick, huh? Profit factor at 2.9. So the entry on that, like where do we know the trigger is? It's not just bouncing here. It's actually breaking back above the 618 up here at 84.60-ish. We close up there above that 618 level, and it says 84.37 on the actual number there. We close above that on the daily chart. That's 80% likely that oil is going to rally on up to 89.90 area, 89. Well, let's go conservatively, 89.50. All right, probably go visit that area if we get this bounce. It's pretty slick. I've been working on this background. In the background, we got more stuff in store for that indicator right there. And GC getting the pullback. Held that 618 resistance pretty darn strongly. Pushing on down. Support right here at 23.28. Maybe even extend down to 22.90. Could come on down to 22.60. That's kind of the stair step, the ladder of support right there, and the big orange box. So I don't really expect it to get below 22.60 at this point, but we could get there, and I mean it could push through. I expect all daily closes to kind of be in that box, and if something different develops, well, we can talk about it. Does the lower low in front? I already talked about that, man. Terrence, I already talked about that. Alrighty. Bitcoin. Halving event happened. All right. Where was the parades? Where were the celebrations? Remember that the halving was just the starting line of this whole thing. It's not the finish line. Now, if spot ETFs continue their buying at the rate they've been buying, soaking up 1,000 to 3,000 Bitcoins a day, and now we're only mining like a third of that a day. How long before a supply squeeze kicks off? Hong Kong preliminary, the China, however you want to say it, the Hong Kong exchange preliminarily approved spot ETFs in China on the Hong Kong exchange. Their banks will be required to buy. It's going to take about 2 weeks for those to spin up. And that's going to take more supply out of Bitcoin each day. Now, one thing that everybody wanted to know, like, why were there crazy fees? Right now, you can see the fees right there, 2.3. Right when we had halving, the fees were like ridiculous. Like the actual halving block back here, 300 and whatever blocks ago, had fees of 40. Well, the subsidy plus the fees was 40 Bitcoins. Like $2 million worth of Bitcoin. And that's because there was a new thing called a rune. You could mint runes on Bitcoin, and it was a random thing whether you would get a valuable one or not. And there was and it started on the halving block at 840,000. You couldn't do it before then, and lots of people were trying to mint. Though they're kind of like NFT type situation. Lots of speculation, and it pushed a lot of transactions, and it's still pushing a lot of transactions. People trying to mint these runes, and I don't even think I can jump back here far enough to get to the block. It's so far back where we could see it. I'm close. Let's see, another 100 blocks. Keep going, keep going. You can just keep going in the blockchain right here. See, we got in here, 20. You see the fees right there, 16 Bitcoins on those fees. And that was like 20 blocks after the halving. There's the halving block right there. Look at those fees. 37 Bitcoins on the fees right there. 40 total. That was pretty spicy. And we saw like 4 on the next block, and then we saw 7 on the next block, then we saw 16 on the next block. This is all that speculative minting. People trying to mint those NFT-like things. Look at that, 29 on that one. There were a lot of fees in there. A lot of fees. And that was good for miners. But they chewed right through it. And now we're back to somewhat normal. Still sitting up here with like 2 Bitcoins. You know, the subsidy is now 3.125. And the next halving coming up in about 3 years and 360 days. About 4 years from now, essentially. And the difficulty adjustment will be done on the 24th. So about 2 days from now. So everything just kind of keeping on humming. A lot of people were asking me if I thought there would be disruption to the blocks with the new protocols and stuff like that. And I was like, not really. As you can see, we're 350 blocks into the next set of 210,000 to get to the next halving. So not too shabby, if you ask me. There are a lot more transactions than normal sitting here, and that's all due to that rune minting situation. So what do I expect from Bitcoin at this point? Well, if that was the pullback, it'd be really nice to see the breakout at this point. This high, this low, the next target up there actually pushes up at 78 now that we went a little bit lower. And this was basically a 4-hour market roadmap bounce with a slightly lower low. Maybe like JT. How reliable is this one? 75% on the 4-hour. So if we break above that 618, right up there, 69. And you see the last one failed right there. It tried, failed. But 75% of the time, it's going to rally right up to that 78 area. Why do I parrot this all the time? Like, this is one of the most reliable patterns I've ever found in the market right here. Love this thing. And now I can put numbers to it since I built this little indicator thing, this little backtester indicator. So 20 instances. So slightly under the 30 that would be statistically significant. Still a reasonable number of trades, 75% likely to pop up there and hit that 1272 area right up there. Pretty slick, huh? So that activation number, where would that activation number be? Roughly, we need a daily close above 68.75. 68.75.5. 68,755. Get all the numbers out. So, anyway. What does this mean? What does what mean? What does this mean? I don't know what this. I've talked about a lot of stuff. So, you're going to have to specify this. Very clear to you, not clear to me. All right. Ethereum, on the other hand, still looking kind of bearish here. Haven't tagged it on the futures, and we could extend lower on Bitcoin, the actual spot market chart. Pull this on down. Kind of double bottomed right there. Good indicator that maybe that holds. We could rally up to that 77 area right up there on the spot market. Definitely came up shy of tagging the roadmap line on the daily. So could that result in something longer term? I don't know. We'll see what happens. And then ETH USD has tagged on the spot market, but it still doesn't look very bullish. Now, could it go higher? Absolutely, it could go higher. That could be it. The SEC could just not classify it as a security, and we could just power on because there are spot ETFs due to be approved out here in May. Now, I don't think I loaded the all-time history. I think I just loaded the first one that popped. And there we go. There we go. There's the spot ETFs. And here's our activation line right up here around 3,600. Looking for 4,400 up there if we're going to do it. If we're going to do it, you may be like, well, how likely is this one? 80% on the daily. It's only 5 total trades, but 80% likely. Dollar still set to reach up to the target zone up there around 108.50. Still set to do it. And 86% likely. It already did a little bounce right there. So. All right, what's popping and dropping today? MSTR. MSTR was outperforming Bitcoin like a lot. So this one could pull back while we see Bitcoin. I actually did this during my update for the weekend. I just want people to understand how outperforming MSTR was. This was hyped. This was hype. We could see this return back down here to the roadmap line very, very easily. All right. There's Bitcoin in the orange. There's MSTR. MSTR went on a crazy run. It may be due to pull back even if Bitcoin rallied a bit. So be careful on that one for sure. All right. That was overhype. Maybe for a good reason, maybe not for a good reason. Usually not. Like these are bubbly type patterns. That's human psychology getting everybody like, oh, go, gotta make up the money. And then watch out for it to come back down. NVIDIA. Whew. That may be the initial move down. So watch for a retrace back up to this 893 consolidation up here. Watch for a retrace up to that area. If that holds, then we start to turn over again, probably coming down to the roadmap line. And the roadmap line will probably be a little higher. By the time we get there, and it may just be a nominal lower low. Could it go on down? It's fairly likely that we could see it push on down to lower levels down here, like 640, 680, 640, even 555. Entirely possible that we see a move down into this area. If, I'm speculating that we see a bounce here. If we just push on lower, roadmap line right there, 650 area. CRM. Yeah, what's going on? And markets, I don't know. Soft. CRM didn't quite hit the roadmap line. If we could, that can result in a bounce. Be nice. From where we are, there'd be a move back up through this 300 area. Pull it off there. Possibly 330, 350. 350 has been the target for a good long time on Salesforce. Meta. Ooh, coming into earnings. Being a little weak. Tried to go, couldn't make it to the 618. This may, ooh, man. This is kind of tipping the odds. We might see that bigger retrace back down here really quickly. Could be a knee-jerk reaction. Duolingo sitting on the roadmap line. Kind of like a double tap with a higher low. 260 on the break above 230. 260, 278. Coin. And it didn't, like, if you're like, well, what about that one before? It didn't stop that one out either. So it's like a double setup, which may push it even higher. I don't have statistics on that. It won't double enter. The indicator thing I have will only enter the first one, and it'll keep holding it till it works or doesn't work. Coin. I would love to see it pull on back, but this could be the low here. We basically had, yeah, pretty darn close to an echo. Anybody that knows the echo trade system, that pullback right there, almost exactly the same size as this pullback right here. That can lead to a reaction where we do the same move like this, right up there. That could push us up above that resistance. So it's a coin flip though. Like, do we bounce here or do we push it on down a little bit? Not so sure. Now the short-term tell right here, that high, that low, that 618, that push above, that's not the roadmap line. So we'd have to go down to a time frame where that actually was the roadmap line, didn't actually touch it. That's the hour and is down below it. How reliable is this one? 80% likely. So we could see that push up into that 304, 331 area on a break back above that consolidation right there at 258. Pretty slick tool I built, huh? All right. Spots. Making the poppers list, but giving it back up really quickly. And now it's a dropper. Ugh. Looks like that may be topping out and coming back to visit the roadmap line. Man, I can't touch that thing. Can't touch it. You can't touch this. All right. Looks like that'd be my expectation on Spotify. TSDD. Woo! Look at that. A leveraged short on Tesla. Talk about some juicy stuff right here. Spicy. Right up to the 1618. Don't have enough candles to do anything with it. That could, I mean, that as far as that goes, it could be the top, but leverage stuff doesn't always follow the pattern. So, SE getting a. This is interesting. Getting a bounce. Could that tilt the odds? We're going higher. It could. Not quite a 4-hour. Yeah, 1-hour bounce. See how reliable that one is. 72%. Nice. 72% likely we're going to extend that right on up there. Oh, it already hit. It picked up the little bitty baby one right there. Picked up the little bitty baby and hit already. So I don't know if that's going to do the bigger one or not. It picked up it already did the trade on that little bitty one right there. It is programmed to pick up a very specific size roadmap bounce and ignore longer ones. So, interesting. Interesting. That may that could stall out and retrace deeper. FSLR. Still working on dropping, even though I made the poppers list. Amazon. I think we're due for a correction. May come back to the roadmap line, may go a little deeper. I think we're going to see, it's entirely possible we see Amazon be soft on earnings here coming up next Tuesday. Not this Tuesday, but that'll be next week. Amazon. BitX getting a nice little pop. If Bitcoin continues higher, that'll be a pretty epic entry right there, potentially. And think about it this way. Bitcoin, right? If Bitcoin goes to, I guess rewind. I've talked about this, but historically, whatever the low was before halving, which the low was about 15,000, that happened in November 22, whatever that low was, we tend to go up after halving to a point where we're 10 to 20x whatever the low was before halving. So if 150,000, maybe 300,000 would be the target, right? So if we just went to 150,000, let me grab a calculator real quick. 150,000 divided by the current, say 66,000. Talking about a 227% rally. Now this is 2x leveraged here. So 227. So we're talking about 450% on this. 450%. That's going to take us way up here. 450% on this. Got to keep going. That would be something like 240. So buy it for 44, possibly sell it for 240. And this, I do have to warn you, the 2x leverage is based on a daily chart, not on a long-term chart. There are fees involved in this, but that's why I've been saying the last few weeks that if you thought Bitcoin was actually going to be extremely bullish, go visit the 6-digit club, 100,000 plus. This was a reasonable way to 2x your money instead of buying Bitcoin or buying one of the spot ETFs or something like that. What's more reasonable? Just 65 and 73. But if you're a Bitcoiner, a believer, definitely an opportunity here to pick it up before it's in the triple digits. And you just do shares. Like, do not do options. Like, options on this, that's like soaking yourself in gasoline, playing with sticks of dynamite and matches. I mean, come on. Don't be ridiculous here. Shares are already looking like 400%. Why would you mess with options? I mean, what's the time frame? I don't know. Maybe out to 26. Could be all of this year, all of next year, and it could be 26 before we get up there. We could be talking way out here. A land far, far away. Like, we could be talking up here when we get to 240. Out here. All right? You probably can't afford the options for that. So, be careful. All right? Don't burn it down. Don't burn your furniture. All right? Now, dropping Tesla. Ouch. Might this be the bottom? Absolutely. Earnings tomorrow after the close. That's what the moon means. That could be the bottom. All right. I remind you, a year ago, we popped 50% on earnings from the same general vicinity. Right there. Right in the same spot. Like deja vu. Had we gone lower? Yeah, we had gone lower. Do we have to go lower now? Absolutely not. We're holding the 786 so far. Barely. Remember, they're fuzzy zones. They're not definitive hard lines in the sand. Watch out. I'm holding a few TSLLs, leverage longs. It's kind of like a, do you think it's going to pop? I don't know. It goes up 50%. This one with the 2x leverage long, double in price, back up to 10. Does it have to go up 50%? No. Could it go up way more than that? Could. Could it drop? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not saying this will work. I'm not saying it won't work. And I'm saying you should be careful. GLD, getting a nice pullback off of the highs. Let's clear this up a lot. There we go. And this is very similar to the gold chart over there that I just went through on the futures with a lot less data. So looking for a move down into this zone right around 215. And actually I have a alert at 210 because that's where I thought it would retrace to 208 to 210 and give me an opportunity to reload on my long-term calls. I booked them out on the spike. I just wasn't feeling it. Now we might get an opportunity to buy back in. GDXU. There's a microsectors gold miners 3x leveraged. If you wanted to play with fire on gold, there's your 3x leverage miners. A lot of people on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it these days saying that miners, gold miners could trade at multiples of their current prices. Many gold miners could trade at multiples. So NEM is my favorite one right now. GOLD, Barrick Mining right here. Another, I made a lot of money on this back on the 2018 run. A lot of money back here. Buying in October, I think is where I picked it up. And right there, I think I bought like $12 calls and rode that all the way up. I didn't ride it into COVID. I was out before COVID, so I sold out probably right here on this spike, right before COVID. Very profitable. Got my mom out of a jam with that one. And this one looks like it could be kicking off again, although we're holding a sideways pattern so far. Could it go lower? Sure. Could it go higher? Sure. Unclear at the moment. UGO, Ultra Gold. And you want to play with, like I said, you want to play with fire. Here's your fire. Leverage gold. Right there. AGQ may come back to the roadmap line after that epic rally there. Nice pop. Return to the roadmap line would not be unexpected. That's at Ultra Silver. Right there. Leverage products, I do warn about leverage. May not follow the patterns. JNUG, Junior Miners, 2X. A lot of leverage gold stuff showing up on the biggest losers list. Nuggets, all these look like they're going to come back to the roadmap line. DXY, well, not far away from going lower. Probably going to make a lower low than where we started. LI, right back down. Coming down, support here and at the bottom of the box. Not surprising. AEM could extend on up to 68. Came up, tagged the target. Retrace the roadmap line wouldn't be out of the ordinary for that right there. Minder Mobile Health Network Solutions. That sounds like a dangerous thing to play with. It's like combining IT with healthcare. Not enough candles to do anything with. INFA might come back down to the roadmap line. Came up, scrape the target. And working on a retrace. And DJT. Boy, CEO getting defensive on Friday about short sellers. Naked short sellers. Short selling is not illegal. Naked short selling is not even illegal. It's kind of funny. It's a misconception out there, I guess you might say. This is likely to come back here. I mean, it is. It got bubbly, and what do we do after bubbles? We tend to retrace them pretty deeply. At this point, back down in that zone where we gapped up right there. I'm not calling for it to come all the way down and make a lower low, back down, 10. So that would be the spot I would expect it to come back down to. We dipped below that 76, so could it go lower? It absolutely could. Absolutely could. I have to put it on the log scale to make it make sense here. Yeah, $7 could be a real target. Yeah, we could bounce here. It's unclear, is what I would say. I would be very cautious. Upside resistance up there at 48. So watch for that. That very well could come right up here, back to 48, find resistance, and turn down again. That would not even surprise me a little bit. We did that. And push right back down, almost to the, right down in that zone. And I put it on a log mode because of how big it moved. More than $50 in a short period of time gets me to put it in log mode. So that everything kind of proportionally makes sense. All right. That was the last one on the list for this morning. S&P could bounce here. Definitely be careful. Let's go look at the small time frame, see what we got cooking. Roadmap line go. There it is. Still sitting at the roadmap line. We are on the underside of this thing. I'd be careful. Very, very, very careful. Is that a roadmap bounce? No, it would not be a bounce here. This is not, that's not the pattern to bounce off of it, under it. That's not the pattern at all. That's a pattern for going lower. And at this point, where would the continuation be? High to low. A break below this 499 zone sets us up to go on down to 49.40, possibly 4900. So that's the real tell right there. Otherwise, watching for this to break through the 786, which may indicate we're going to push on up here to 50.75 and then retrace the roadmap line, and then we could be looking the other way. But it hasn't set up the reversal yet with lower highs and holding resistance. That's still prime for continuation lower. All right, bias for the day is very cautious. I'm not trying to pick directional plays very much at all right now. Gold getting whacked a little bit, and almost down to my target. Probably going to reload at 210 to 208 area, 208, 210 area. Reload my long exposure. All right. I'll be in Discord. I've got a new thing coming out today on gold. If you're interested, I'll be going live a couple different times today. Throw the link in Discord. I don't have the link handy right now. And I'll see you later. Bye for now.